I get asked a lot about just voicings, but I think of it the way that a modal jazz piano player thinks of it, where you're seeing the scale pattern on guitar, at least, one position, and all of the number chords within that scale pattern. So, I can play everything without moving, right? A capo makes it so obvious, but so if I call this position 1, both the minor and the major scale, whichever, 6 chord, 7 chord, 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord. It's just a D over F sharp, right? But I think of all the notes in the other notes in the scale, any note in any one of these chords is fungible and easily replaceable with one of the other ones. So if this is my 2 chord, I can just add, this is my 4 chord, right? I mean, it's that, major 7, sus2, but I'm gonna go, my action is crazy high on this right now because I was recording a part, but so if this is my sort of skeletal 4 chord, but I'm seeing all these as options, I can just grab a cluster of scale notes, right? 4 chord, 1 chord, 6 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, right? 5 chord. So like, just pick a random song that you know by numbers. M83, 6, 5, 2, 4, right? But if all of my, if all the notes in any given chord I could keep the same superstructure and just be changing the bass notes, and that counts as changing the chords. I mean, notice that's still very 4 chordy, that's 4 chordy. That's 4 chordy. And I mean, it's pushing it. What did we say? 5, 2. That's really pushing it. 4, right? But everything is a 4 chord. After all, root 3, 5, 7, but also the 2, the 9, can be in the chord. The 4, the 11, or in the 4 chords case, the sharp 11, and then the 13. Those can all be in the chord, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of every chord is properly a part of the chord. So in other words, the entire scale is part of the chord. It's way easier to see this on piano, but on guitar it's actually, if you start thinking of it the right way, it's pretty simple, right? So you just learn them all per scale shape. So let's say that I think of the scale as 5 different positions because there's no reason not to. There's 0 reason to think of it as 7 positions. People think of it as 7 positions, think of the modes as 7 different positions, and they're just not. So same key. With fingers. I call that position 4. 5 is in between them, so 1, 5, 4. It's right there. But again, I'll think of all the chords as being located there. So I think of the bottom octaves at bottom octave as numbers: 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, and then just a bunch of dots. Right. So 3, that'd be my 3 chord. 4 chord. 5, 6, 7, 1. That or that or that, and then 2 is D minor. If you want it to have a little more bump, just invert it. And for the sake of not having to play this beast here, so 4 chord. That's all 4 chord. right? One chord. It's all one chord. 6 chord. So 4. Five. It actually ends up being technically a 3/5 that way. So anyway, and if you can think of every scale position as just as where the chords reside, then you can move around. Here's my 4 because right 6 7 1 2 3 4. What did we say? 5. Just change it back and forth. If you know all your scale positions like that, then you're an omniscient super being. Not only do you know this is the way to know every voicing that anybody else could possibly ever come up with. This is like the theory of everything. There's not a voicing, a diatonic voicing, something that comes from the key. There's not a voicing that isn't readily seeable in this position. I mean, according to this method, So there's my 4 chord. Or whoops, this thing is very difficult to play in its current shape. So let's say this is my 4. 6. Oh, by the way, I'm thinking of that there now since I don't have the capo. So 4. Or let's say I just. What do we say? 5. 2. Very difficult on this guitar right now. Or whatever. I mean, the point is, it's a cluster of scale notes, the same way that you. And if you listen to WC, it's the same thing. I mean, hits. If you listen to what's the really famous WC tune, Claire de la Lune, whatever. There's that section where he just hits a 2 chord and then just blam blam blam, just starts grabbing notes out of the scale. Basically, I mean that's essentially all that's going on there. That's what so much of romantic music, piano playing certainly was like. And then in the 60s in jazz they start doing it as well. It's a way of thinking of chords that isn't readily recognizable on guitar. Man, this is a long video. It's not very obvious on guitar, but it can be. So you learn a scale shape, 6, and you learn the bottom octave as numbers, 6 7 1 2 3 4 5. Bunch of dots. Then you learn a skeletal version of each. So 6 or whatever. 7 1 2 3 4, whatever you want, but gain some fingers there. Right? 5 or 5, whatever. 5 6 7 1 2 3 4, right? Anyway, any voicing anybody else can come up with, you can come up with in real time. It's while everybody else is memorizing blocks, how many voicings do you know of a whatever chord? They're memorizing blocks. What you're doing is seeing just the utterly fertile ground from which all diatonic voicings come from, and you don't even have to theorize your way to it. You just you can visualize it. So 10 whopping minutes of this gibberish. Holy crap.